Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Leaves Konoha and Joins Akatsuki, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Itachi and Jiraiya stood in a forest clearing glaring at each other. Itachi already had his Sharingan activated and was carefully watching the Sanin's movements. The wind gently blew by them, fluttering their clothes slightly. This will be a difficult fight, mused Jiraiya. Almost any jutsu that I do he can copy. Suddenly Jiraiya took out 3 shuriken, out of nowhere, and threw them at Itachi. Itachi instantly countered with 3 of his own. Without a moment's hesitation he performed several hand seals and fired a few fireballs at Jiraiya, not having even said the name of the jutsu. Jiraiya jumped sideways to avoid the projectiles and started several hand seals of his own, but was shocked when he looked back at the fireballs. They were still coming straight at him. He stopped his jutsu halfway through and leaped sideways once again, this time however not leaping as far and preparing a barrier jutsu. Once he landed, he s his palms on the ground and said, "Dotten, earth wall." The fireballs were successfully blocked, but Itachi was nowhere in sight. He used a tracking Hausenka to distract me and hide himself. Just as Jiraiya thought that he sensed a presence behind him and just barely managed to avoid a kick to the head. Itachi then followed up with a spin kick which Jiraiya easily blocked and punched Itachi in the stomach. As soon as that happened though, Jiraiya noticed something wrong. His chakra patterns are abnormal. It's like a jutsu being concentrated within his body, Jiraiya could not jump away fast enough before the clone exploded. He was sent flying backwards several dozen yards and finally crashed hard into a tree. I should have noticed that his taijutsu speed wasn't good at all. Jiraiya scolded himself for making such an error. Looking up he saw Itachi standing behind the crater left by the explosion. "Jiraiya, it seems your skills have dulled," said Itachi. Jiraiya scowled. "Here I was, expecting a challenge when facing one of the legendary Sannin. Maybe I should have let Naruto fight you. You bastards kidnapped him after he left the safety of the leaf, didn't you?" asked Jiraiya in a vicious tone. "Kidnapped?" questioned Itachi, "and safety?" he sneered. "No, Naruto came with us willingly." Itachi paused for effect. "Poor kid, he was completely hounded by you assholes." Yelled Jiraiya. "He would never come with you. You must have brainwashed him with your Mangekyo Sharingan and that's why he's acting like this. Like how? The people of, as he says, his long-lost village." Itachi continued coldly. "He's not the same naive little kid you once knew. He could never have reached the level he is today by staying in that god-forsaken village." Jiraiya's look became even angrier. "What? Unhappy? Mad? That you had Naruto's potential, but you threw it away?" Itachi said coldly. Jiraiya still could not find any words to reply with. "We picked him up and developed him, to the point where he can develop himself. He is a good fighter," mumbled Jiraiya in agreement, thinking back to the Junin exam. "Yay, he's a good protege, no?" asked Itachi with the slightest bit of amusement. "He'll never be anything like you," said Jiraiya forcefully and instantly stood up. Itachi gazed coldly at Jiraiya. Such confidence, for someone who knows nothing about him. Jiraiya clenched his fist. "You think you know anything? I bet he hates being in the Akatsuki and working with such cold BM as yourself." "Hate us?" Itachi actually chuckled at this. Why would he hate people that actually pay attention to him? That actually care whether he's there or not like your village. Jiraiya was now thoroughly pissed off. While some people would say that it was very stupid of Itachi to anger a Sannin, Itachi knew that if a shinobi lost their cool they would lose the battle. "You see, he likes us for actually caring about him, but about the protege thing? No, he has a different path in life, I'm sure of it," said Itachi, his voice returning to its seemingly natural coldness, in anticipation of battle. Itachi then lightly touched the tree to his left. "Dokumari, vines," thought Itachi as he skillfully directed him to enclose the Sannin's legs. Jiraiya however was not caught in this trap and jumped up to avoid the vines, but not high enough. Itachi immediately saw this opening and had the vines release their P, since the P is naturally shot upwards. Jiraiya saw the cloud of P rising up towards him. "Fuutan, Wind S, whispered Jiraiya and directed the wind at the pea cloud. In an instant the pea was dispersed. Itachi, meanwhile, had already thrown 2 shuriken at Jiraiya and whispered, Kage shuriken no jutsu. Jiraiya barely had time to notice and react before the barrage of shuriken had reached him. I can't keep fighting on the defensive, thought Jiraiya as he realized that he was still right next to the tree and hence used it to push himself out of harm's way. Itachi decided to attack him while he was still in midair. Fuuten, Wind S, he whispered and fired off a wave of wind. Jiraiya instantly saw what Itachi was doing and did his own hand seals preparing a counterattack. Fuuten, Wind Tunnel, said Jiraiya. Just as Jiraiya had predicted when the 2 attacks clashed, his was more powerful and was able to rip through the Wind S and continue onward to Itachi. As soon as Itachi saw Jiraiya do the wing tunnel, he knew that his attack would be less powerful and instantly prepared a block for the upcoming attack. However, Itachi's attack did manage to significantly reduce the wind tunnel's power, and because of this Itachi simply made a relatively weak earth wall that easily stopped Jiraiya's attack. Before the wind attack was even completely stopped, Jiraiya attacked with a spin kick aimed at Itachi's head. Itachi dodged, but did not have time to counter as a barrage of punches and kicks was thrown at him at an incredible speed. Itachi saw that he was being forced on the defensive. This won't do, he thought simply. Itachi then blocked an attack with his forearm and at the same time formed his hands into a single hand seal, split, thought Itachi, and jumped to the side, leaving his cage bushin to hold off Jiraiya. Itachi quickly made a half-dozen hand seals and put his fingers to his lips. Kaiten, Kiryu Enden, whispered Itachi and fired it straight at the still fighting Sannin. Jiraiya had of course noticed when Itachi jumped to the side, and had been prepared for some sort of attack from the side, but did know whether or not the Itachi in front of him was a clone or not. Still he decided not to take any chances. Dotten, spiked earth barrier, said Jiraiya, and a wall of earth surrounded the Toad Sannin on each side, preventing the Kiryu Enden from penetrating and also damaging Itachi's clone when it attacked because of the spikes on the outside of the barrier. Itachi did a head seal and his palm into the ground. Dotten, spike, he whispered. Jiraiya did feel something coming up from underneath him, but it was too late. The spike had already been formed and thrust upwards straight at the Sannin. Jiraiya managed to avoid a hit to a critical area by jumping up and out of his barrier, but the damage was still dealt. Once Jiraiya landed outside the now crumpling barrier, he felt a surge of pain in his left leg. Itachi saw that his opponent was such that his mobility and speed are affected and decided to attack him using taijutsu. Jiraiya saw the Uchiha charging him. I can't handle this alone. Jiraiya bit his thumb, did a few quick seals and whispered, Kuchio's no jutsu. Itachi tried to put up an earth barrier, but found that his right arm now hung useless. Jutsus were no longer a possibility. Jiraiya had of course noticed this and leaving a clone in his place went underground. Dotten, Shinju Zanshu no jutsu. B poured out of Itachi's mouth and images flashed before his eyes. Images of both Naruto and Sasuke, my 2 brothers, thought Itachi. Only one knows the truth, he will set things straight, and with that last though the great missing Nindi, his eyes finally releasing the Sharingan. Jiraiya could barely dig himself out of the ground before collapsing of exhaustion right beside Itachi. Used up 2 chakra, need to sleep. With that the toad disappeared and Jiraiya fell into unconsciousness. Konoha. Next day in the Leaf Village, all the ninja were on high alert. Security was tightened and the village was on lockdown, such that no one could enter or leave the village. Anbu was still assessing the extent of the damage left by the Hyuga the night before. The Godime paused the Junin exam and called a meeting to discuss last night's occurrences. At the meeting were present Kakashi, Guy, Asuma, Kurenai, a representative of the Hyuga, and several Anbu. Tsunade banged her fist on the table. Where the hell is Jiraiya? She roared. We still have people looking for him, Hokage-sama, answered the Anbu captain. However, the last time I saw him we were both running towards the Hyuga manor. But he never showed up, is that right? Yes, one moment he's right next to me, the next he's gone. When we arrived at the Hyuga manor we found out that the had escaped, so maybe Jiraiya had followed him. We'll see when he's finally found, said Tsunade in a low voice. Oh well, we're starting without him. How are the Ai? She inquired. Tsunade-sama, all the Ai shinobi have been hospitalized and most of them are expected to pull through just fine, informed a medic nin of the Anbu. Thank you, answered Tsunade. The medic nin bowed slightly and sat down. Damage report. What the hell happened last night, Hyuga? Inquired Tsunade of the Hyuga representative. It seems Ana was able to avoid security and get into the Hyuga manor. The Hyuga started explaining but was seen off by Tsunade. Tell us something we don't know, she said forcefully. The managed to K5 clan leaders as well as Hyuga Hiashi, the main house leader, and his youngest daughter Hyuga Hanabi. Almost everyone in the room gasped. To be able to K the leader of the most powerful clan in the Leaf is a feat in itself, but to K5 more clan leaders, that is really something. The Hyuga representative went on to explain that those are the prominent figures that were K, but apart from them they also took out approximately 24 other Hyuga. He also mentioned that Hyuga Hinata is now in the hospital, the exact reasons being unknown to him. The medic Nin caught Tsunade staring at her and decided to speak up. Hyuga Hinata will be fine, she seemed to have been under the effect of a knockout P. She should wake up later today. P. Thought Tsunade, this is weird, and why would she be the only one affected? Didn't the use P when fighting with the Hyuga? Asked Asuma. Yes, however that P was a lot more dangerous and K its victims, replied the Anbu captain. I think Hinata will be able to tell us a lot when she wakes up, mused Tsunade. Anyone make any kind of ID on the asked Kakashi. No, the Anbu captain began but was seen off by the door opening. Everyone turned to see a limping Hyuga being led into the room and carefully set down into a chair. Who is this? Inquired Tsunade. A survivor of the attack, Hokage-sama, said the person who brought him and excused himself, saying that there were many patients he still had to tend to. Turning back to the new arrival, Tsunade asked him to fill everyone in on what happened. At around midnight the alarm was sounded and I instantly jumped out of bed, got dressed and went out to find out what was wrong. After several minutes I heard a commotion in the middle of the compound and ran there to find my fellow brethren fighting with the Tsunade interrupted him here for a question. How many people was the fighting with? I'd say about 20 people, answered the Hyuga. Several people around the room raised their eyebrows. Anyway, he continued with his story. When I got there, the was doing some sort of kaiten jutsu that shot fireballs in all directions. After the attack was over, I jumped into battle. He recounted the entire battle like that. The last thing he saw was the running towards the wall and getting intercepted by 2 guards. What happened to the 2 guards? Asked Tsunade. They were K, Hokage-sama, said the Hyuga representative somewhat uncertainly. Tsunade looked at him questioningly and asked, how did they? You're telling me that they had claws? Asked Tsunade. Yes, I see no other explanation. Unless they did a summoning, but it doesn't seem that there was enough time, explained the Anbu captain. Can you tell me anything else about the height, hair color, eye color, any distinguishing features? Questioned Tsunade. He's about 5.5 feet tall, blue eyes, couldn't see his hair since it was hidden under a hat, and I guess claws would be a pretty distinguishing feature, replied the Hyuga. So we know nothing about him, said Tsunade. The blue eyes made her think of Naruto, but she shrugged off that thought. Actually, come to think of it, said the Hyuga, he looked very much like the grass nin from the Junin exam. A few heads snapped up at that comment. Now that you mention it, said Asuma, we haven't been able to locate that guy anywhere. Damn it, we should have noticed that he was definitely a much higher level, said Tsunade, especially after what happened to Sasuke. Forest outside Konoha. While the meeting was going on, Jiraiya finally started waking up. Where the hell am I? Jiraiya sat up and caught sight of the still buried Itachi, and all the events of the previous night came back to him in a rush of images. That's right, I fought with Itachi last night and managed to K him. Then another event came back to him. Naruto, how could you go to the Akatsuki? Said Jiraiya sadly. Anyway, I need to get back to the Leaf, and relay my current information. Jiraiya went to stand, but almost fell back down in pain from his left shin. Back in Tsunade's office. If I may inquire, asked Kakashi, what did happen to my student? His condition seems to have stabilized late last night, but we don't know when he will wake up, answered Tsunade. But what did that grass nin do to him? Asked Guy. It was some sort of dojutsu. From the looks of it, it's similar to the Tsukuyomi of the Mangekyo. Kakashi's eye widened at this. Except somehow Sasuke's opponent also managed to inflict not only mental, but physical W as well, explained Tsunade. But the scariest thing is that the W kept coming back until his condition stabilized, As if the body was self-inflicting the W, Kakashi's normally stoic face showed the slightest bit of worry. But how is that possible? Asked Kurenai. I don't know. It shouldn't be, even the Mangekyo isn't powerful enough to affect the mind like that, said Tsunade in deep thought. Hokage-sama, are you saying that the Grass Nin's Dujutsu is more powerful than the Mangekyo Sharingan? Asked Guy. Yes, it would seem that way, said Tsunade, however he probably cannot copy jutsus like the Sharingan can. Which is a relief. Approximately when can we expect Sasuke to wake up? Asked Kakashi. I don't know, he seems to have slipped into a coma. So it could be days or it could be months, replied Tsunade. Somehow I'm leaning over towards months. Kakashi was shocked. Damn it. I didn't prepare him enough. Kakashi sulked down feeling like he betrayed his student. Then again, who knew he would be fighting such a strong opponent? Who could possibly be an A? Suddenly the door flew open and an Anbu came in. Hokage-sama, we have trouble. Tsunade jumped up from her seat. What is it? She yelled. There have been traps set up throughout the village, but they seem to be made to target the villages only, explained the Anbu member. What do you mean they only target the villages? Asked the Anbu captain. The traps are set up in high-density civilian areas, meant to be triggered by simple civilian actions, such as kicking a stone out of the way or yanking on a hanging string, explained the Anbu member. The things that a shinobi wouldn't do, mused Kakashi. Exactly, said the Anbu member, we have managed to disarm several, but 6 had already been tripped before we were notified. There is a team of Anbu combing the village searching for any more as we speak. Have there been any casualties? Asked Tsunade in a serious tone. The Anbu member looked down, not wanting to meet the Tsunade's eyes. Yes, Hokage-sama. How many? 20D and at least 30I. Damn it. Why do innocents have to D? Said Tsunade angrily. What are the traps like? She asked. They are mostly set to throw kunai, shuriken or throwing knives. Some, however, made a kaiten jutsu come out, explained the Anbu member. Why would they be attacking the villages? Wondered Kurenai. It makes no sense. It might be as a distraction for us, offered Asuma. But why would they want us to distract us now, instead of last night? Asked Kakashi. Perhaps to throw off pursuit by making us think that he is still in the village, said Guy. Just then the door swung open and a beaten-up Jiraiya came in carrying something that looked very much like a body over his shoulder. Hello everyone, he greeted. Jiraiya, is that the asked Tsunade. Not quite, replied Jiraiya, there was some complications. Complications. Tsunade furrowed her brows. What sort of complications? The himself got away, but I know who it was and his accomplice, said Jiraiya in a somewhat sad tone. All eyes were now focused on the Toad Sannin in anticipation. His accomplice was, at this point he dropped the body on the floor, Uchiha Itachi. The absolute shock was evident on everyone's face, even Tsunade could not hide it. They all instantly realized that was the Akatsuki's doing. So then the Akatsuki was behind everything? Asked Kurenai. Yes, they were behind a lot more things than we know, said Jiraiya, some that we would rather not have happen. What do you mean? Asked Guy uncertainly. Who is the inquired Tsunade. The and Itachi's partner, is someone we all know. Jiraiya paused a little for effect. Someone we know, inquired Kurenai, who would join forces with that murderer. You couldn't mean? Asked Kakashi with a wide eye. Yes, sadly I do mean that, said Jiraiya, his name is Uzumaki Naruto. The people that had just somewhat recovered from seeing Uchiha Itachi D were thrown back into that state of complete and utter shock after hearing this. Then the Akatsuki has, oh god, said Kakashi. The implications were obvious, the Akatsuki now had the power of the Kyuubi at the disposal. It also didn't seem like Naruto cared much for the Leaf Village anymore, instead he now seemed to be a ruthless K. Naruto wasn't just the A, we also saw him before this incident. He was pretending to be the Grass Nin during the Junin exam, said Jiraiya. Although that was probably a cover to be able to get into the village. We have no chance of getting him back now, do we? Asked Kakashi. No, he's a Class S missing Nin now, said Tsunade, and he's also a part of the most dangerous organization in the world. Yes, and it seems that Jiraiya trailed off, seemingly unable to finish his thought. What? He's what? Asked Tsunade. I got the impression that he joined it willingly, said Jiraiya reluctantly. What? Yelled Tsunade. Impossible. Why would he ever do that? Well, it seems that the Akatsuki took care of him and accepted him a lot more than the people of this village, explained Jiraiya. And for someone like him, well, that's really what he wanted from life. The people, mused Kakashi. It makes sense. Huh, what makes sense? Asked Asuma. The traps left in the village, they weren't for distraction, they were for revenge, said Kakashi in a cold tone. What traps? Asked Jiraiya. He was explained about the traps found all over the village that were aimed at harming only civilians. Yay, that would probably have to be him. He even glared at me when I simply tried to talk to him and, said Jiraiya, but trailed off again as he remembered what Naruto called Itachi. And what? Asked Tsunade. Nothing, there just seemed to be a lot of hater in his eyes, said Jiraiya lost in thought. Damn in Jiraiya. Tell me exactly what happened. Roared Tsunade. Jiraiya cringed a little then reluctantly continued, well, it's about how Naruto referred to Itachi before they parted. Seeing that everyone was confused and that Tsunade seemed to be getting even angrier, Jiraiya decided not to test her patience. He called Itachi, Oni-chan. What? Said Kakashi. Naruto looks up to Itachi that much. Could be, answered Jiraiya plainly. Then it is possible that he joined willingly, mused Kurenai. Well then let's hope that Naruto isn't like Itachi's real brother, said Guy. Since he's bound to find out what Jiraiya did to Itachi. This is indeed a serious problem, but for now he's gone and will probably not come back here for some time, said Tsunade. So we have to focus on the things at hand and that it rebuilding. Also we can't leave this subject of the in ambiguity for the rest of the village, said Tsunade. But we cannot tell them that the simply got away, countered Guy. No, that is why I propose that we reveal Itachi to be the A, said Tsunade. And lie to the village, protested the Hyuga representative. Not necessarily, explained Tsunade, we did K1 dangerous missing Nin and as Jiraiya said Itachi was Naruto's accomplice. Also the fact that Itachi was apprehended should make the village happy. Several people were still reluctant, but understood that the village's reputation would be affected greatly if they said that the A had escaped. So everyone agreed with the Hokage and swore to keep this a secret. After that matter was done, the talks shifted onto the subject of the reconstruction and strengthening of Konoha. Though they all knew that there would be other meetings when they would talk about the issue with Naruto and the Akatsuki. With Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto was making his way toward the mountain country or more specifically the Akatsuki headquarters. He, of course, did not travel at the insane pace that he, Itachi and Kisame had last time they were close to the leaf, but he still went fast enough so that he was at least a day's time ahead of any pursuers. Halfway to the border Naruto decided to camp out in the woods and get some shut-eye, even though it was the middle of the day. Naruto had actually always preferred to travel by night, it somehow made him feel more comfortable. Influence of the Kyuubi no doubt, thought Naruto with a smirk. He then looked at the rabbit that was roasting on the fire, so nice of him to teach me to summon foxes, they can actually hunt for you. Toads are nice, you can use them on land and water. But Itachi was right, better to have a variety to choose from. Naruto then pulled up his left sleeve and looked at his bandaged arm. This one isn't something to be using just for the hell of it, I doubt even Itachi knows exactly what this is. Naruto's thoughts trailed off as he smelled that his rabbit was done cooking. After lunch Naruto went to sleep leaving a guard fox around just in case. He woke up in the beginning of the night and immediately set off again and managed to cross the border safely before dawn. Knowing that he was now on much safer ground, he slowed down a little and decided to stop at a hotel in the nearest city, which just happened to be the same one he had been in 5 years ago. This trip brings back so many memories, mused Naruto. After a day of rest, Naruto pressed onwards into the mountains and arrived at the Akatsuki headquarters by the end of the day. He quickly made his way inside and asked for a session with the leaders. He didn't wait long at all and was soon called into the conference room. Mission accomplished, sir, said Naruto handing over the backpack with the heads to Roto. A.N. In case you forgot, Roto, leader, Kane second in command, Hachiko third in command. Roto opened the backpack, took out all the heads and looked at them. He gave Naruto an approving nod. You even exceeded quota. It was somewhere between a question and a statement. Yes, simply answered Naruto. How was the mission? Wondered Kane. It had its complications, but I worked through them, answered Naruto. Damn, I never did like these people. It sometimes seems like they want to rip the Kyuubi's power out of me. Yes, but such is life, isn't it? Said Roto coldly. Naruto merely nodded slightly. Roto then gave Hachiko the signal to pay Naruto. Alright, as was promised 300,000 yen for the quota or 50,000 per head, said Hachiko, giving Naruto the money in a suitcase. Naruto continued looking at him intently. Give him 100,000 for the extra head, said Roto. What? Isn't that a bit too much? Asked Hachiko. No, not for an heir of the main house it isn't, continued Roto. Alright, agreed Hachiko and gave Naruto another small suitcase. Naruto bowed and turned to leave. Wait, Naruto, said Kane. Naruto promptly turned around and looked at Kane. You will be hunted within the next few months, so while you have this next week free you need to return before it's finished and we will find you a place to lie low for a bit. Naruto nodded in understanding, bowed again and left. He went to his room, put all the money in one large bag and prepared to leave for the hotel where Itachi should be waiting, but suddenly remembered what time it was and decided to spend the night here. Better to stay where there is a nice bed and shower, thought Naruto, yawning. He left first thing the next morning, wanting to get to the rain country within 2 days. During his journey he thought, Itachi is already waiting for me, and not wanting to keep his Oni-chan waiting, Naruto increased his pace a little bit. Naruto had made it to the rain country within several days and was now walking toward the town where he was supposed to meet up with Itachi. A smile naturally formed on Naruto's face. The rain country is really beautiful when it's not raining, thought Naruto as he was purposely taking his time getting to the hotel. Nevertheless, Naruto soon arrived at the hotel and quickly found out which room Ikaita, Itachi's cover name, was staying in. Naruto easily found the key that was hidden by Genjutsu above the door and calmly walked in. Once inside the room, Naruto was a little surprised when he didn't feel anyone's presence, but shrugged it off thinking that Itachi must have gone somewhere. He took off his jacket and shoes and proceeded into room. Well, that's weird, thought Naruto as he looked around. None of his stuff is here. The hotel room, except for the usual hotel stuff, was completely empty. After a bit of looking around, his eyes finally landed on the only one foreign object in the entire room, a scroll that was lying on top of the table. He walked over to it and looked at it. From Itachi to Naruto, it read. Couldn't he just leave a simple note telling me where he is? Mused Naruto. He tried to open the scroll, but found that it wouldn't even budge, then shook his head slightly and bit his thumb. Always the extra careful one, Itachi, chuckled Naruto as he ran his thumb over the edge of the scroll. Naruto then unrolled the scroll and began reading. Dear Naruto, I would usually lead you on a little goose chase before telling you exactly what I had in mind, but this time around I'm going to get straight to the point. If you are reading this, then I am D. What? Thought Naruto with chills running down his spine. I had a feeling, a precursor, that this latest mission would be my last. I hoped of course that I was wrong, but just in case I took the time to write this scroll to you. You must be asking yourself, how did Itachi D? Well, I must have D in battle, as is suitable for warriors such as ourselves. I do not regret my life and I do not regret my death, so I must ask you not to try and avenge my death. If the person was able to K me, then he will also be able to K you. It must have been that bastard Jiraiya, growled Naruto. One thing I don't want you to become is an avenger. I'm not sure if I can honor that, Itachi, mumbled Naruto. While on the avenger subject, I wasn't able to accomplish much with Sasuke, so I must ask a favor. Could you please make sure that he understands everything? Now I have to come clean about something I have kept hidden from even you, kiss him never D. In fact, he is alive and well. During that mission I helped him stage his own death. The reason he did it was because he was tired of the Akatsuki, and also because he wanted to get away from everything in the ninja world. Basically he wanted to retire, I guess. Forgive me for not telling you, but I thought it best that no one knows the truth. After all, the more people that know a secret, the less of a secret it becomes. If you ever want to get in contact with him, he said he would be on an island outside of the water country, but he demanded that we don't attract unnecessary attention. I'm sure you understand. Of course. Moving on, after what you just did to the leaf, you're gonna need some desolate place to pass the time. I happen to own a house in the snow country that I am leaving to you. Take care of the place. To me? Asked Naruto incredulously. Further on in the scroll there will be a map and directions for getting there. You should spend at least 6 months hiding out. Don't worry, no one knows that it's there except for me and the guy who built it, but I already got rid of that liability. Why am I not surprised? Said Naruto with a smirk. Also, about the Akatsuki, I have a premonition that it's not going to last very long. If I hadn't on this mission, I would have left that organization soon after. I realize that you have only stayed in the Akatsuki because of me, so now that those binds are broken you can be free. So just disappear from the chaos of the world for several months. Whatever I own I pass on to you, do with it as you please, but always take care. Goodbye Uzumaki Naruto, I wish you the best of luck in your future, but you don't need it. Forever honorable, your Oni-chan. Itachi. A.N. It wouldn't let me put it on the right hand side. P.S. Thank you beforehand for the favor. Naruto's eyes watered up while reading Itachi's last words. Oni-chan isn't coming back, and for the first time in a decade Naruto openly cried, holding the scroll close to his chest. After several minutes he stopped crying and wiped his eyes and cheeks free of tears. I'm sorry Oni-chan, but I can't let your death go unpunished. Jiraiya will pay for what he has done and he will pay dearly, said Naruto in an ominous tone. I still can't believe this is real, mused Naruto while unrolling the scroll further, it just seems like some sort of bad dream. A nightmare. But sadly I must face the fact that he's not here anymore and that I'm on my own. But I will get my revenge on Jiraiya, vowed Naruto. However, he also realized that there was no way he could go back to the Leaf right now, not after what had happened. Their security right now will be very high. So, Noel waited out, just like Itachi wrote I need to disappear, and also if Jiraiya was able to beat Itachi then I wouldn't stand a chance against him, mused Naruto trying to decide on his next course of action. To think that he was able to keep the secret of Kisam's death, or rather life, a secret from me, said Naruto in a more cheerful tone. Needs to know that I haven't lost everyone. Naruto had now come across the map that Itachi left him. So his house is in the far north, well the farther from civilization the better right now. Except that I'm gonna have to carry a lot of food there. Naruto chuckled at the mental image of himself carrying a mountain of food, most of it being ramen. This is actually perfect, I'll be able to train there in complete privacy, then after a few months I'll come back and K that prevented bastard of Sennin. He then put away the scroll into his pocket and walked out of the hotel room. Not even bothering to check out of the hotel, Naruto went to the nearest restaurant, had lunch and immediately afterwards left for the snow country. Just my luck, I had to come here during the early winter. Naruto cursed his luck as he looked over the snow-covered fields and mountains. I gotta say though, this country really is beautiful. Naruto was now halfway into the snow country and was now village hopping since he really didn't want to camp outside. This of course slowed his progress, but he didn't mind it too much, especially since he was now nearing his destination. Naruto was eating dinner at the local pub as he looked at his newly acquired map of the snow country and compared it to Itachi's map. From the looks of it I have to go tangent to the main road about a half a mile out of town and cross this wilderness here. Then, I guess I'll just see it, hopefully. The next morning Naruto filled his backpack and bag with food and started his slow track through the forest. The forest soon stopped and instead tuned into a completely white snow-covered field, after which Naruto could clearly see his route taking him up a mountain. At least I can walk on top of the snow instead of falling through it, and climbing will be easier with chakra. After a 10 minutes break Naruto resumed his journey and after about 6 hours was up on the mountain. Wow, this is a cave view, said Naruto in a dreamy voice. Now let's see if can spot the house. Naruto looked around, but unfortunately everything was covered in snow and it was very hard to decipher one thing from another. Well, by the looks of the map it should be right to the northeast of me. I guess I'll just have to go down that way and see if it become more apparent. Naruto had to journey almost all the way down the mountain before he finally spotted the chimney sticking out of the snow. Sighing in relief that he had finally found it, Naruto quickly made his way to the house and stood outside looking at it. The house was a lot bigger than Naruto had expected. Itachi should have said mansion instead of house. Naruto then took out the key that had popped out of the scroll and went inside. Whoa, it seems even bigger on the inside than it does on the outside, said Naruto. He dropped his bags near the door and went to look around. First he walked into the living room. It had a large couch, a fireplace and a table with a go board on top of it. The house had such a warm atmosphere. Naruto continued looking around the house, finding the kitchen, a dining room, 3 bedrooms each complete with a personal bathroom and shower, and a training room. The training room was however completely bare. No way, Itachi would have some weapons at least, thought Naruto, and activated his demon eyes. He instantly saw through the genjutsu that was placed over the far wall. Walking over to it, he easily undid it and revealed a door. Naruto opened it and stepped into a completely dark room. He fumbled around a bit looking for the light switch, but found it soon enough and was amazed at what he saw inside. There were weapons of all kinds. Naruto could not find one single weapon style missing from the selection, and it even had some that he was unfamiliar with. Well, I've got my work cut out for me in the weapons department, thought Naruto as he continued observing the room. On the right wall he saw a closet and walked over to it, opening it up. Inside were many scrolls, large and small, several even had forbidden written on them. A scroll collection, Itachi. I wonder if there are some in here that you didn't teach me already. Naruto picked out a random scroll and looked at the name of the technique, Walk of Shadows. Well, I don't know that one. After glancing at half a dozen more scrolls, Naruto found that he didn't know a single technique. Well, more work cut out for me. The sun was quickly setting, so Naruto decided to go to the kitchen, make himself dinner and go to bed. Tomorrow he would start training himself. His last thoughts as he drifted off to sleep were of Itachi and his newly found source of training. Leaf Village. Tsunade was in her office busily working through the mountain of paperwork on her desk. Things had been rough since the Hyuga A. The civilians easily bought the lie about Itachi being the A, but some of the Hyuga that had survived the attack weren't so willing to believe. The Hokage then had to personally explain it to them and make them swear a oath not to tell anyone else. Still, most of the Hyuga were unhappy that the Hokage had covered up the incident like that. This of course created tension within the village. However, the now small portion that made up the main family was satisfied with the cover-up, since they did not want the village to know that the heiress had been in love with the heir and had actually let him into the Hyuga manor. Hyuga Hinata, she was a whole other issue just by herself. Completely heartbroken over Naruto, she woke up in the hospital thinking that she just passed out during training, and then the events of the previous night came flooding back and she thought that she would finally have her happiness, but then the news came. She was told that half of the clan leaders were murdered, along with her father and her sister. She was told to report to the Hokage immediately, and once she came there she was told the full story behind the Hyuga A. She even found out the true identity. She was in an emotional turmoil for a week. She simply could not believe that her precious Naruto-kun could do such a thing. She finally came out of it after a week and said that she was ready to learn her duties as the head of the family, but everyone noticed that she had greatly changed. Gone was the indecisiveness and shyness, and out came the confident, independent young woman that her father would have been proud of. But she was not like her father. She still had her sweet side present, and because of that did not oppress the Branch family and instead kept several of her close friends by her side as advisors. I may as well keep the promise Naruto had made to Neji, before the dark side swallowed him up, concluded Hinata. Several of the other clan leaders tried to challenge her, but she shut them up instantaneously and with the kind of force that made the others afraid to even disagree with her on small matters. It had been 6 months since that day, and bit by bit the peace was returning to the Leaf Village, much to the delight of the Hokage. In that amount of time no one had even heard of Naruto. Tsunade understood that he must have gone into hiding and guessed that they probably wouldn't see him for several years to come. Just then the door burst open loudly and an Anbu ran into the Hokage office. "Hokage-sama, I have some urgent news," he said, panting. "What is it? What's happened?" said Tsunade, jumping up. "We just received reports from both the Sand and the Stone that they have successfully raided and taken over the Akatsuki." "What?" yelled Tsunade. "Are you serious? How did they even know where to go?" "Very serious, Hokage-sama. It seems that the Stone were anonymously tipped off about it and had sent 2 teams to check it out. The strike team was exterminated by a well-known missing nin from the Stone, but the other team escaped," explained the Anbu member. "So the Stone and Sand formed an alliance and took down the Akatsuki?" asked Tsunade, already knowing the answer. "That's right, Hokage-sama," confirmed the Anbu. "Where is the Akatsuki lair?" questioned Tsunade, calmly sitting back down. In the mountain country, he replied. It seems to have been inside of a mountain, the door of which was concealed by genjutsu. Alright, I want an Anbu team sent to investigate the Akatsuki lair and try to find information about our own missing nin, ordered Tsunade. It will be done, Hokage-sama. The Anbu bowed and disappeared. We might have finally found you, Naruto, mused Tsunade, or at least clues of where you are. Every single country that had a missing nin sent their own teams to investigate. So the Akatsuki lair was crawling with Anbu from all different countries. While this created much tension and apprehension, it also made sure that no corner of the Akatsuki headquarters was left unsearched. However, the search for Naruto had proved futile. The Leaf Anbu found nothing about where the boy could be. There were only mission reports showing what he had done in the past and how well he performed. It seemed that he was the most valuable shinobi to the leaders of the Akatsuki, and they were monitoring his growth with a hawk's eye. Judging by the records, Naruto had gone into hiding 6 months ago, but even the Akatsuki had no idea where he went. Luckily, Doents weren't the only source of information. During the attack, the leaders, Roto and Kane, had been K, but not Hajiko. He had survived and was now under heavy interrogation. The interrogation revealed a lot of information about the members of the Akatsuki. It seemed that there were only 2 members left, Raiko and Mia. The Akatsuki had concluded that Naruto had left the organization and gone into hiding from both them and the Leaf. So the only remaining team was sent to find him and K him no less than 2 weeks ago, but they hadn't reported in since they left. The Leaf interrogation team found that Naruto had actually come to the Akatsuki willingly and was freely utilizing his power to help their cause. They also uncovered that he had gotten training from a Cloud Nin, Grass Nin, Mist Nin, and of course Itachi. Hajiko was also forced to admit that Naruto was the centerpiece for all their plans. Plans like K off all the advanced bloodlines to weaken the villages and make them a lot more susceptible to attack. They also uncovered that the Hyuga had only gone through the first phase. There was going to be another attack once things had calmed down. So the actual mission only required Naruto to K the 5 clan leaders and Hiashi. Questioned Tsunade as she read the report. That's right, Hokage-sama, the youngest heiress was seen as a bonus in the Akatsuki's eyes and Naruto was well paid for her head, explained Ibiki. But why attack only half the Hyuga? Isn't it better to destroy them all at once? Asked Tsunade. I asked him the same question, and he said that they wanted to disrupt the flow of the clan by K off half of the council and the head of the main family. But the biggest reason was to show off the Kyuubi's power to the world, replied Ibiki. And that they did that well enough, mumbled Tsunade. Ibiki just nodded. Well, if even the Akatsuki doesn't know where Naruto is, then we probably don't even have a chance of finding him, said Tsunade, throwing the report down on her desk. We don't have to call off the search though, said Ibiki. No, I'm not saying that, countered Tsunade. It's just that we can't put him on high priority. Agreed. Alright then, you're dismissed. Ibiki bowed slightly and vanished in a cloud of smoke. Not a minute later, a medic nin came rushing into Tsunade's office. Hokage-sama, I have wonderful news. What is it? Asked Tsunade lazily. Uchiha Sasuke is awake, cried the medic nin. Tsunade instantly jumped up and quickly made her way to the hospital. There she found a groggy but awake Uchiha, who wondered how long he was out. Before answering, Tsunade gave him a checkup and found him in perfect health. Physically he's perfectly fine, but how is mentally? She wondered. Sasuke, how do you feel? She asked him. Fine, came the monotonous answer. How long was I out? 6.5 months now, replied Tsunade as if it was nothing. What? Yelled Sasuke. That damn bastard put me out for that long. Calm down, ordered Tsunade. You know who did this to you? Yay, only one person could possibly have those eyes, replied Sasuke in a bit calmer tone. What eyes? Asked Tsunade. Those be red eyes with a black slit down the middle, answered Sasuke. The Kyuubi's eyes, so Naruto was posing as the grass nin, not that we had much to go against that belief, thought Tsunade. So you know who you were really fighting against then? Sasuke gave her a suspicious look, saying, so you knew about it too? Yay, I know. I was fighting with Naruto. Yes, Tsunade answered sadly. What technique did he use against you? He called it, Hell level 2 feet, but it felt too much like Tsukuyomi, said Sasuke, rubbing his temples. Except instead of him torturing me, it was some demons in hell. It felt like I was being tortured for all the sins in my life, just relentless beating. Sasuke shuddered just remembering and rubbed some of his long-heeled W. Huh, how come I have some scars here? He asked. It seems that Naruto's attack upon you, answered Tsunade. How is that possible? Asked Sasuke in a confused tone. How can that, Dobe, do that? Then another thought crossed his mind. Why was Naruto disguised as a grass nin? Well, he is a Class S missing nin after all, said Tsunade. He can't just come here openly. Class S. Since when? Asked Sasuke. Tsunade cursed mentally at that slip of the tongue. We'll tell you when you recover fully, she said. No, damn it. Tell me now, he yelled. Tsunade sighed. He wasn't actually here for the Junin exam. He had an entirely different purpose. A different purpose, wondered Sasuke. What else could he want? He's changed a lot since we all knew him, Sasuke. He wasn't here for peaceful purposes. Did he attack the village? In a way, Tsunade then told all him about the Hyuga, saying that Naruto was Itachi's accomplice in this act. Itachi? Sasuke's Sharingan instantly flared up. Naruto is allied with that bastard, said Sasuke in a low angry tone. There's something you should know about Itachi, said Tsunade calmly. Sasuke narrowed his eyes suspiciously. Itachi was K right after the A. Sasuke's eyes widened. What? How did that happen? He asked. Jiraiya K him after chasing him down on his retreat from the village. Damn it, he was supposed to be mine. Sasuke s his fist into the bed. You should be happy that he is finally gone and focus on more important things, counted Tsunade. She could easily see that Sasuke was fuming on the inside. That damn bastard Jiraiya, how could he take this away from me? It was supposed to be my revenge, mine and no one else's. Tsunade's face suddenly hardened. Sasuke, not very many people know that Naruto was also there with Itachi. For political purposes we have to keep that a secret. So now I'm ordering you to never speak about this again. You got that? Said Tsunade in a commanding, forceful tone. Yes, said Sasuke somewhat reluctantly, but knew that crossing the Hokage wasn't a smart thing to do. Tsunade stood up and moved to the door. You are in pretty good physical condition, but still need to stay in the hospital for further tests. Sasuke scoffed at this. I need to go now, and as for you, I order you to stay here. If you disobey there will be harsh punishment, said Tsunade menacingly. That damn spoiled kid, thinks he can do anything, thought Tsunade as she walked out of the hospital and back to her office. At least he's finally awake. Sasuke recovered very fast and began training within a week of waking up. Everyone was very happy to see that he was up again, especially Sakura, but she was then saddened when she realized that he had woken even colder than before. He was quickly brought up to speed on what had happened while he was asleep, however he didn't seem much interested. He never did forgive Jiraiya for Itachi, but continued training harder and harder for the new goal in his life. If Naruto was Itachi's accomplice, then he will have to do for my revenge. I will definitely get the Mangekyo Sharingan and show those eyes of his who is the true master in mind torture. Snow Country. Meanwhile, Naruto had absolutely no idea what was going on in the outside world and didn't care either. He was happily living in Itachi's mansion. Well, now I guess it's my mansion, but I just can't get used to that, thought Naruto during one of his training intermissions. The reason for his obliviousness to the outside world was of course his training. He was hell-bent on learning all the techniques that were in those scrolls Itachi had saved from his travels. It turns out that during all his travels Itachi constantly kept a lookout for jutsus that he either couldn't copy or ones so powerful that even his Sharingan was able to see through. He would then acquire the scrolls for these techniques, oftentimes forcefully, and stash them in that closet. Many of the techniques that Naruto found in there were ninjutsus, but there were a few genjutsus. These were very powerful and neither the Byakugan nor the Sharingan couldn't see through them. Naruto did not neglect his physical training and would go for a run up the mountain every morning and night. Soon thought that became too easy and he started venturing farther and farther. During one of these times he found a lake not too far, by his standards, from his house. Since it was winter the lake was completely frozen, except for several places where the ice was thin and Naruto could see some fish swimming under the surface. Naruto instantly decided to melt off a little bit of the ice and catch himself a fish for dinner. May as well not come home empty-handed, he concluded. Melting a small portion of the ice was rather easy, but it wasn't nearly enough for Naruto to be able to catch a fish. Man, I wish I could melt the entire lake. Then an idea occurred to him. He had seen a scroll back at the house that would let him make fire appear out of nowhere, but he hadn't paid much attention to it since he didn't have any jutsus that worked like that could work. A giant fire spreading out from the middle of the lake, all the way out to the edges and melting all the ice. I think I could make that work. Naruto then rushed back to the house to study the scroll intently. After many tries and several months, Naruto had finally created his very own kinjutsu. He could now make the fire burst out from anywhere he wanted and spread out over as big an area as he wanted. He named the jutsu, Lake of Fire, and would later on work on it to increase its power and spread rate. Time seems to just fly by when you're busy working on the things you love, and so it happened with Naruto. For him it seemed way too early, but summer had already come. Since the snow country doesn't really have spring, the only way you can tell the summer apart is that the snow actually starts melting. 9 months of winter and only 3 months of summer, mused Naruto, it is really a remarkable place. But the coming of summer means that I have already been here for 9 months. I hadn't planned to stay this long, especially since I have business to take care of down south. Naruto decided to stay there until the summer's end and then leave the safety of his house and venture back into the world that he had so successfully disappeared from 9 months ago. Naruto knew that during his re-emergence into the ninja world he would have to avoid the hidden villages at all cost and travel under a disguise. A part of him did not want to leave this place, but Naruto knew that he couldn't leave his unfinished business hanging any longer. Jiraiya will pay for what he has done and then my mind will finally be able to rest. At the summer's end and before any of the snowstorms could roll in, Naruto left the bastion of his mansion and cautiously journeyed into the outside world. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.